just the pickup, the single cab pickup. Before was the bench seat, seats two and then one driver.
Yeah.
But now you have your bucket seats. Now you have your radio thrown in. Before, single cabs never used to have aircon. This was a luxury. It's a workhorse, doesn't need it. Now it has aircon in it. These cars have now gone that far forward that they say, listen, just because I'm a workhorse doesn't mean I can't be comfortable. And use case in Zimbabwe, let's take Zimbabwe as an example. A double cab is considered a luxury car. That's a debate I don't want to get into right now. But, so the comfort element is there. And now it's showing very highly. So you can have the best of both worlds. A car that's comfortable to drive every day, but still can function, do your off-roading, still carry your fertilizer, still go to the mine, still go to the farm, and still perform as expected.
Lance, from a mechanic point of view, how do you think these newer brands that we're seeing trying to penetrate, in fact, they have penetrated the market, right? How do you think they're going to fare in terms of, one, building trust with us? How are they going to build trust with us? But also, I'm thinking after sales support, being able to buy parts. There's some brands that I think even you, Tafadzwa, as an organization support, as a Moko, that I don't think they're necessarily easy right now to find support unless we come to Sam Levy's, right? So how do you think that's going to fare? If it's going to be a workhorse, it shouldn't be difficult to get parts and sales.
Look, biggest question or the biggest thing that contributes to you purchasing a car for your business is the price. So these guys are priced with a good price. I mean, you're going to take the risk. So one thing I like about the Asians and the Chinese, they actually guarantee you and give you an after-sales service that is quite direct. I've seen it from my other guy, bought a local Chinese make. What the guys did from, all the way from China, they're giving him feedback. Even the English was quite and all, but they're helping him out, So I think commercially, it will make sense because Mazuano, these companies have got, sales reps, they've got transport managers, logistics managers and stuff. So it's up to them to do the research on the durability of the car and stuff. But the after-sales service as well becomes better because parts are available.
Got you. So this is after-sales service. And what about resale value? One of the things that we've always loved about most of our backers in this country is that, they maintain great values. You still fetch a good price. That's no names mentioned. Once you drive it.
Unfortunately, the honest truth here in Zimbabwe, after-sales service is very good for Toyota. We all know that, right? Ford, Isuzu as well. But we've noted, remember, we used to have the Chem Chinese car that came into Zimbabwe. We've got the Fortune as well, right? All came with Cummins engines, Toyota engines and stuff. But the after sales was actually terrible because the bodies from these vehicles are not strong. So there's that perception that these vehicles are not durable, though the motors are strong. And the technology is strong. So what people are looking for is how the car looks, and unfortunately, they still got a long way to go.
0719-100-404. As you're listening in, have you yourself been looking into the newer non-Japanese Baki brands that are out there? Is there one that you have your eye on that you think, FoLake, I would love to give this one a go, and I definitely would invest in buying this particular car? And what is it? Let us know on 0719-100-404. Speaking about Bakis, Mazda BT50 XTR is home.
It is.
Talk to us about that now.
So this is another very interesting, yet again Asian, in this case Japanese double cab pickup that's come back. Now the BT50 or the B class of vehicles from Mazda is an institution in Zimbabwe. These have been around forever. Yes, I think the sales figures have fallen off. And maybe the competitors, which is Toyota and Isuzu, have picked up the numbers. But this is still a vehicle worth a venture. And I think a vehicle worth people having a look at. The BT50 now has a new iteration for 2024. And this one comes with a very powerful 3-liter turbocharged engine that produces a lot of torque and performance, 140 kilowatts of power and 450 newton meters of torque. And it is very good off-road and very good on-road. We talked about the progression of double cabs. Does it need to be comfortable? Now, this is the middle ground vehicle. The BT50 XTR is very comfortable when you need to drive it every day, but still extremely capable. And this car also boasts a lot of reliability. I think in terms of, its brand perception and how it's perceived in Zimbabwe, still a very well-liked vehicle. maybe not as much as the competitors, but still one that's respected quite highly. Tried and tested. It's been around for a very long time, and I think that they've done a very good job with this one.
Yeah.
In that it looks good, performs well, and it has a very good middle ground in terms of comfort and performance.
I'm a bit suspicious of 8 liters per 100 kilometers. Sounds like it's a Gaza
3-liter engine, eh?
Turbocharged.
It was never going to
for
be.
a truck, though.
Well, you look at a truck. We talked about workhorses and what trucks are. Performance and power is key. Now, what sells pickups and single cabs, double cabs and single cabs rather, is performance and horsepower. That's it. When you look at any advert for a single cab or double cab vehicle, what's talked about is kilowatts and newton meters, how much you can tow, how much you can carry. These numbers all sell these vehicles.
Gotcha.
So when I think Mazda made this vehicle, it was going for those high figures. 3-liter engine, 140 kilowatts, 450 newton meters of torque, just to get attention that this is a very capable car in terms of performance.
Yeah. Lance, when we look at this car, how do you feel about its suspension, both for being on an off-roader and on-roader? How do you feel, the BT50 optimized its suspension in this case?
So then, what the BT50 has under its arsenal is the fact that it's an evolution, from the old Mazdas that we used to have, from the Sanduras, Jankoko, B series. Let me just use lame terms. B series, the B series that we have, we had here in Zimbabwe, locally assembled by Willover Mazda Industries. So definitely that means that Mazda has links with a consultancy firm or someone in Zimbabwe to give feedback according to the terrain and the kind of roads that we have. So that this is an up and a plus for the Mazda BT50. So I was lucky to drive the slightly older one, the BT50, the brand new unit. What I liked about the car was the power of the engine and the drivetrain as well. What I didn't like really was the rigid rear suspension. But I think they integrated that form, to double executive and off-road. So
Gotcha.
I personally feel this car is perfect.
Yeah.
For us locally.
What improvements did you think they made there to the drivetrain?
First and foremost, the front suspension. Conventionally, what they call torsion bars and stuff. I noticed it now has coil springs in the front, and that is just to improve comfort. The Defenders are coming with that. The Range Rovers are coming with that as well. I also noticed they now integrated diff-lock in the new system. This is what usually could be found on Isuzus, Toyotas, and Nissans.
And they didn't have diff-lock?
They did, but it wasn't that pronounced as the other models. So now if you get stuck in the mud, you've got a diff-lock system, four-wheel drive system. It's now coming up, and it's really, coming up to the competitors. I think they're listening and they're also watching the market as well.
Yeah.
So to me, yeah.
So some time ago, Tafadzwa, we had your counterpart visiting us from Zambia, and they were saying that the BT50 is so trusted in Zambia.
It's in the motorcade.
Yes, it's in the motorcade.
Motorcade in Zambia, yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think Mazda would need to do right now to position itself as the reliable workhorse, particularly in the African market? Because there's so many now.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like you rightfully said, in Zambia, it's very odd. Some brands we shun here in Zimbabwe do very well. I think Mazda is a very good example. The fact that this car is built on the motorcade in Zambia means a lot of things. One, power, performance, reliability, strength, a lot of things. It ticks a lot of boxes. Now, here in Zimbabwe, what do they need to do to position it as a capable workhorse? I think the proof is in those numbers we talked about. Double cabs and single cabs are sold using figures. So they have shown the intention to go to show that they have more power. In fact, the 3-liter engine is probably one of the most powerful vehicle engines in that segment. The kilowatts and newton meters in terms of performance, torque, pulling power, payload capabilities, styling, it looks much more aggressive now. I think these talk about how powerful the vehicle is. So in order to position itself a bit better, I think they need to talk about these figures relative to the competition, because like it or not, 8 times out of 10, it actually beats the competition in terms of those performance figures, showing that it's capable, but they need to put the proof in the pudding. They need to find somewhere else to adopt, the theory in terms of, talking about how good my car is, to actually selling the car and having units on the ground. So that comes with a lot of other things. I think it comes down to the dealer distributorship method they use, in terms of how accessible it is to the right markets to increase its numbers. They need to look at maybe fleet sales and show that it is much more capable than the alternative. So they are in a position where they can do well, but they need to prove themselves.
It's Capital 100.4 FM Parada Zabit under the hood. We are discussing, as you can see, the Baki industry is really coming in fire force with unexpected brands doing the most. I think, doesn't Kia have a Baki now? It's got a
It
Baki,
does, the
right?
Tesla, yeah.
You know, we're seeing unexpected brands doing the most, trying to join this Baki industry. I'm just checking with you, as a Zimbabwean, if you were to buy a Baki, right, outside the conventional ones, what would that be? 0719 100 404. Still to come, our usual trivia. You get to guess the car, the classic car of the day. And also, still to come, we'll throw at you a highway code question. You get to come in and guess what the response is as we are working together. 0719 100 404. Lastly, but in no way least, before we move on to our last story, Tesla. But before we get there, we were just talking just now about BT50 giving us a new XTR, a new model, potentially the workhorse of the future. So I'm just wondering, Taf, if you were to position, if you were to market the BT50, how would you differentiate it from, say, the Kia, say your Isuzu, say, or anything else? What would the selling point be for you?
For me, it would be an attractive double cab model because the looks look very nicely aggressive, very masculine, very straight lined, and very edgy, with a lot of creature comforts on the inside, but not over the top, which means that the technology behind it is still quite basic, but very functional, mixed together with a very capable and powerful powertrain, suspension system, and of course the load tray and materials used in it. So I think I would market it as the perfect all-arounder. Not the most expensive vehicle with the most you need, but the one that's right in the middle tier, that provides more than others, but still can do everything very well.
0453, good morning. I really like the look of the Mahindra Scorpion pickup truck. Looks good, isn't Chinese, and I think the price is very reasonable. But that is a workhorse, right? That can never be a luxury experience.
It is a funny thing. I thought about it.
Yeah.
Very strong. I looked at the ones which we supplied to the police, the top of the range ones, the red ones, the gunmetal ones, and the Nado grey ones. Are they nice? Are they nice?
And what I like about those cars, it's like a little plug and play.
Yeah.
It's like a Lego car.
A Lego, exactly.
You can literally put on
Takes us
anything
back,
depending on what you want to do. So it's actually a very capable vehicle. But again, it has the same challenges as these new Chinese cars we're talking about, in that they still need to prove themselves over time in terms of reliability, in terms of backup services, and so forth. And that's the challenge with anything new, I think. We have to take the risk. It's either going to be good or bad. In this case, I've got faith in the technology. I've got faith in what these guys are doing. I think it's worth the risk for our Indian friends, and what they bring with the Scorpions or the Asians, I guess. They're Southeast Asians, I guess.
Yeah.
So they're doing very well.
Do they have a double cab for this one? Because I really
They do.
see-
They do.
They do?
A very nice double cab. Looks ugly, but they actually made them.
It's a rugged Exactly.
And it doesn't look like they're trying to compete.
They don't need to. Because India already, imagine, with the population they have, their own
Over a
country.
billion people.
Exactly, and all over the world as well. They've got support. You know, because Tata already made the way for them. You know.
All right, so thank you for giving us that one. Which other bakis would you be thinking about if it were up to you, for you to consider outside the conventional bakis that we're seeing? For like 0719 100 404. And also, we've all been watching how technology is evolving. In fact, it's because of this one man's dreaming, that we're actually talking about electric vehicles. At some point, we all thought, and now his technology has changed, transformed, and even creating opportunities for us as a country, because now we're thinking about lithium batteries, we're thinking how we can also participate in this global change.
Exactly.
And so to that end, Tesla's full self-driving system, which is known as the FSD, is under investigation. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration in America is investigating it after there was a fatal accident, and they're focusing on the software to see if the safe conditions were to reduce visibility were actually functioning the way they should, especially because we've been speaking about autonomous driving. Tap, what's happening here? What's FSD and what went wrong? Particularly when you want to contextualize that for us as an African market. With our road infrastructure and our traffic regulations may not necessarily be as robust as they would be in America, for example, and they might very well be different.
Yeah.
Explain to us how FSD works, but also how would we integrate that within our African context?
So you've brought up a couple of interesting points with this, but I'll explain what FSD is first. So it's basically full self-driving. So in terms of autonomous driving or the car driving itself, there are 5 levels, where level 5 is the highest, where pretty much the car takes over and you can, I'm not saying you should do this, but you can literally fall asleep or look away from the road and be distracted to whatever you're doing, play on your phone, message people, and the car is taking care of the function of driving.
Did you just say message people?
No, because the car is driving. You are not, you're not doing anything at all.
I wish I had the sound effects for the.
So the car is completely driving itself in the full mode, which is level 5 autonomous driving. That's full on self-driving. So I mean, this article is correct in a sense, but this is only level 4 autonomous driving, where you can actually give control to the vehicle for certain stretches at a time. So I think in this certain stretch where the vehicle had control, something went wrong and led to a fatal accident. So this is why this investigation is now ongoing. This touches a lot of things, and I would like to say that in as much as this accident was unfortunate, you know, no system is perfect. And you can expect some errors, and from errors you can learn something. It's unfortunate that you have to learn from an error that did cause a death, but you have to think about the number of testers on the road with the FZ that are actually working. And the system is working. So I think what's really happening with this investigation is to prove that the technology doesn't have a flaw that is then going to cause maybe more accidents in other Teslas on the road. Now, in terms of us here in Zimbabwe, us in Africa, us in other countries which are still adopting these sort of self-driving cars, we have to look at a lot of things. What makes a self-driving car a self-driving car? How does it work? It relies on a number of sensors and a number of environmental inputs for it to determine certain scenarios, speed, where to turn, when to slow down, when to accelerate, and things of that nature. And yes, in the Americas and countries that have adopted these cars, these things are there. Can be something as simple as very clear lanes that the car can see and identify. In some cases, they put little sensors in the roads at certain intervals, which help to govern or which communicate with the vehicle as it passes by to limit its speed, to understand where it is in terms of what's going on around it. These are all things that need to be implemented here for it to work. Interestingly enough, semi-autonomous driving vehicles are already on the roads right now, here in Zimbabwe. And not just 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, a lot. There's quite a lot of semi-autonomous driving vehicles. Cars, I would say from about 2016, some of them, high end at that time, towards middle tier, are now on the roads. So these systems are working, but to a very small extent. Lane keep assist is one of those ones. Semi-autonomous braking, emergency braking, your ESP, or electronic stability control or programming doesn't sound like it is, but it actually is. It's now more integrated and smarter for it to recognize this. So the car actually does things without you doing stuff. This is actually existing right now. Yes, that level of autonomy works for now, but when we want to go a step above that, we need a lot more things to come in, policies, regulations, and other things to come in.
Lance, how are you feeling about this, particularly with the fact that for most of our roads, they are unmarked, some of them are dirt roads? How then does this idea of autonomous driving and such technology work for us?
It's quite scary at the moment, because just like basic GPS is failing some of the times, road updates, road naming, routes and all that stuff. So you can imagine, like, let's say you want to go to South Lake Park with a fully autonomous car. How are you going to navigate the small dirt roads in South Lake Park? Who's going to input all those roads into the mapping system, into the GPS system and all that? It's actually a big task. Unlike the European countries and American countries, because basically, most streets in London were there like in the 1700s to date, So it's just an update of maybe the infrastructure, but the roads are the roads. Now we're still developing as Africa, not just Zimbabwe, South Africa as well, Botswana, Zambia, and all. So this, I think that this full autonomous driving system should be not made 100% for now.
Yeah,
You know,
got you.
it becomes an input thing
Yeah.
from the driver and the software as well.
Got you. 0719-100-404. What do you think about, this technological adaptation coming into Africa, particularly with the fact that most of our environment is still pretty much rural? And I'm not even saying that in a negative sense, but we have a lot of country, we've got a lot of farmland. How do you think this, FSD could safely operate in a Zimbabwean market? We're about to get into, can you guess the classic car of the week? Can you guess what the icon is? As always, we give you clues, and as a car enthusiast, we get to see if you know your cars that well. We're taking you back to the fabulous 50s. This one was a game-changing vehicle that really defined what automotive landscape looked like at that time. 1959, it was launched. It was tiny. It was not longer than 3 meters long, I think. At that time, it was the epitome of genius maximized interior space. It had a transverse engine, front-wheel drive layout, 80% floor pan, which was dedicated for your suitcases, maboksa, your luggage. Any idea, just with those clues, what this car is? 1959, lots of floor space. It's short. Din, 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 din. Let's see with those clues. If you can come in, can you guess the icon? I'm tempted to give you clues though. Should I give clues or should I not?
There are certain clues you can give and certain you can't. You give it away. I can think of one right now which will give it away.
Let me just give one clue that we go.
Okay.
Monte Carlo. You just say Monte Carlo.
Okay. Monte Carlo. 0719-100-404. Let's see if you can figure out that is. Bamoko, good morning. Thanks for joining the conversation. FoLake, I'm a fan of BT50 and I have the T7 range, but I was disappointed when they partnered with Isuzu. Had they remained with Ford, I guess their T9 version was going to be something else. So I've gone for a Ford Ranger.
Yeah, I think, it's a good point, but Japanese team of the Japanese don't leave each other alone. I think it was a smart move.
Which is
at the time.
fair.
It's a win.
It was a good move at the time.
Which is a
Japanese
fair point.
technology and Japanese technology, I think the reliability and strength would have been there. But maybe it came down to preference, maybe not liking certain aspects of the other brand they adopted coming into it. Isuzu are very boring inside, I'll say it. So maybe you didn't like that part of it.
Yes. Speaking of Isuzu, it's also up to some shenanigans, but we can talk about that next week. As you're trying to figure out which car icon we're talking about today, can I give clues of other car models and see if somebody can pick out which one it is?
Yeah.
Can I do that?
Yeah.
Okay, so looking at the iconic cars from 1959, do you think A, it was a Citroen 2CV? B, do you think it was a Fiat 500? C, could it be a Volkswagen Beetle? D, is it the original Mini Cooper? 0719-100-404. Can you guess the car icon? And as you are figuring that out, let's also talk about another important part of your car, the timing belts. Oh, la, 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 la. I'm just curious, if you are a driver, would you... the first answer has come in. Let's see if you are on the money. I've lost my train of thought there. Almost with excitement. Today we're going to be talking about that one thing that's synchronizing the rotation of your engine between your camshaft and the crankshaft. It's that thing that's making sure that your valves are opening and closing at the right time. That thing that has teeth, meshing up gears on the camshaft as well as the crankshaft, maintaining perfect timing when these valves need to open. If you did guess timing belt, I probably had said that earlier, you probably are right, and that's what we want to talk about this morning, as Lance and Tafadzwa help us understand a little bit more of what exactly timing belt is. So I've put it in simple terms, right? But what exactly is the role of a timing belt, Lance?
So yeah, basically timing belt, what we have, each engine has got what we call valves, inlet valves, and exhaust valves, camshaft, crankshaft. Right. So what then happens is when these things are set, right? The crankshaft, there's what we call top dead center or bottom of top dead center. Also got cam timing marks and stuff. Your timing belt actually makes sure your gears rotate the very same way they're designed to. For instance, The crankshafts want to travel 360 degrees, and the cams want to travel 180 degrees in sync. So the timing belt makes sure this happens.
Jeez, that sounds like a lot of smart engineering,
It
actually.
is really, actually, it's actually,
Wow.
it's really impressive how they've done it. So certain engines have got timing gears, some have got timing chains, some have got timing belts. These are the kind of the different engines which are there. So now, here today we're talking about engines with timing belts.
Right. Because some don't have timing belts?
Some have got timing chains, some have got timing gears. So why most modern engines are using timing belts is simply because since it's made from rubber, there's less vibration and there's less noise as well.
So I'd imagine a timing belt is under a lot of heat and stress because it's working with the engine, right? So how do you know it's time to change it?
So how it works is manufacturers have specified a timing belt change according to kilometers or years as well. Since they're made of rubber, different type of timing belts have got different, changing intervals. So apart from your physical inspection, there is also the timeline that you need to use or kilometers that you need to use for changing your timing belt. It's usually 150,000 kilometers or 100,000 kilometers, depending on the vehicle as well.
11:43, we're still checking with you to see if you can guess today's car icon. I can see the answers that you are throwing at me, all right? One is saying, if it's 1955, it's the Citroen DS. Shikanzi, it's the VW FoLake. Let's find out if you're on the right track, if you're on the money. Our car icon for this year is 1959. It was really great at that time for maximizing space, and yet it was only 3 meters long. Do you think you can tell what this car is? 0719 100 404. I'm waiting to hear from you on that one. Also, highway code question, Taf. What's our highway code question as well?
So this one is going to be a simple one, but one that's going to, the answers can be made because it tests your principles of what you've learned from the highway code. And the question goes like this. You are driving at night on a poorly lit rural road in Zimbabwe. A bus with a flashing red light on its roof approaches from the opposite direction. It appears to be stationary and partially blocking your lane. There are no other vehicles around. What should you do? I'll say that again. You're driving at night on a poorly lit rural road. A bus with flashing red lights on its roof approaches from the opposite direction. It appears to be stationary and partially blocking your lane. There are no other vehicles around. What should you do?
That's the highway code question. Let's see also if you understand your highway code. You can also come through 0719 100 as we're also talking about the timing belt. One thing that I've learned from you, Lance, is that when you buy a car, please make sure that there is actually an owner's manual, and most of us don't flip in. Also because a lot of them are not in English. Fair point. But even when they are in English, we're not flipping through. So I'd imagine different models, different makes will have different timing belts.
Exactly.
So what sort of recommendations should we be looking out for in the manual?
Okay, so first and foremost, besides the manual itself, if you go in your timing cover of your engine, there's usually a sticker. Right? So most Japanese cars is written in Japanese and there's figures. Nowadays with technology, just take a picture, Google, that's it, you translate it and you got your information. You know. And again, I also urge when I also give advice to people when you're buying a car. People usually say, I don't say this and timing belt and all that, but it's good to start with your own slate, you know what I mean?
Right.
So if you buy your car, once you take out car, just get the timing belt changed. When you're in service, your car service, the timing belt changed. But close out with 259,000 you're per odometer. You're going to count from there to 100,000. You know, it's time to change the timing belt.
Right.
You know? And also just check around your timing belt, timing belt assembly, that there's no loose parts and all that, you know.
So are you recommending that we change it every 100,000?
150, 100,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It doesn't cost much. It's not that cheap as compared to what could happen if the belt snaps. You know, it's better to be safe than to be sorry.
If you have any questions and experiences with your timing belt, you can send them through to 0719 100 404. We're still in the 1950. It certainly is a special car. 1959 it was made. Small, smart design, maximizing on space. Is it a Volkswagen Beetle, Fiat 500 Mini Cooper, a Citroen 2CV? 0719 100 404. We're still waiting to hear from you which you think it is. Timing belt,
Right. So, like we talked about earlier on, right? We're talking about synchronization and all. So our cam gears, our crankshaft gear, and the accessories have got teeth on them. So these teeth help the belt to actually grip and not change position, unlike a conventional V-belt. So now now imagine if timing belt was smooth and there was no gears. I know Muka paper, then one of the gears gives resistance. What's going to happen is the synchronization is going to go out. So to ensure that there's no funny thing happening, they put buzz in, and those teeth actually help in that synchronization.
Right.
Yeah.
Saka mazleo kana apera.
Exactly.
What will happen to
Sprockets.
the
Usually what happens is the belt snaps, or the timing keeps on jumping. One of them just not going to jump by timing.
Saka inenge just say ufamba unozese kuti yajamba time.
I know what's you just a big clank, and that's it. And most people, the biggest mistake most people do is when your car switches off by itself. Right? Because we've got a situation where the car cuts, first thing that you're going to do is like, and stuff. Now, what if you jump by timing? What you're going to do is you're going to create mincemeat in your engine. You're going to create parts are going to get right.
Right, because you're forcing it to
return when it's out of sync. So first and foremost, when your car switches off, we all know how cars, right? You know, so there's no reason for you to but you know it never does that.
Right.
First park aside, it might save you.
It might save you.
It might save you.
Because now it's getting into the engine, right?
Exactly. So once your car switches off or just, sudden jerk of power, then it's off, right? I suggest get someone to look at that car. It might cost you to get someone to come and look at the car, but it will also help you in the ultimate cost of repairing the problem.
Got you. So, are you saying then timing belt issues are abrupt, they are sudden? Like, when I found by timing it's 10 seconds late, it's 3 minutes quicker.
So, okay, there's two scenarios that we have to look at. First of all, motor gear timing outside the ones. So, goodness is nowadays our cars with OBD2 machine, usually no back light. To tell you maybe you're Germany or whatever, maybe your tension has failed. But if there's catastrophic damage to the belt and stuff, unfortunately, your car will just switch off. There's what you highway before, whatever, that's it. I think you got you, that's it. You know? And people tend to have a situation whereby if it's starting, and this DIY system, you just go to YouTube, you just get your oil pan and you change your oil and stuff. There are other things that need to be checked by professionals. Just get your professional to check your timing belt assembly, because what it is the belt, the camshafts, and the timing belt tension. All these things need to be serviced or to be looked at.
So when was the last time, as you're listening in, that you got your timing belt checked, if at all? And how did you know that you were having problems and that whatever issues you were facing were directly connected to the timing belt? Because that's also because sometimes when the timing belt is giving you signals, Lance, it can be dehydration, it can be breast cancer, it can be anything, right? Sometimes the timing belts that's malfunctioning can do that. Sometimes there's smoke, sometimes, like you're saying, it's sluggish, sometimes it won't even start. How do you then pinpoint before I call Lance that this could be a timing belt or you can't?
Unfortunately now, this is quite it's a big fix. It's not something that you can just diagnose from because the sounds, like with me, I can tell with modern play getting better timing belts, But you conventionally, like when you start your car, the cranking speed, the sound like always doing it, right? But then all of a sudden your car is cranking real fast. You know what I mean? It tells you something. There's something wrong with my assembly already. But people keep on forcing and keep on forcing, It's one of those things. What is that doing? My fine is just getting checked. It might save you. Yeah, it delays you from going where you want to go. It delays you and it uses up some of your money. But sometimes you're told good nowadays cars are 32 valves, each valve going for $20 each, 20 by 32. Then you also going to need pistons. That's basically you want to change the whole engine because of that.
If you have any experiences with your camshaft, your timing belt, and you would like Lance and Taf to help, or you would like to let us know something, do so. 0719 100 404. That would be interesting. So how are we supposed to maintain this thing? Because it sounds like each go decide that.
Yeah, that's why we're saying how they make these. They actually make them out of good quality. So first and foremost, when you're getting a timing belt changed, don't buy the fake belts. Brand, don't they? Buy from a reputable company. Buy from a person and who can offer liability. You get it? Don't just buy from the street. This I encourage people.
Yeah.
I don't mean to throw shade, but I saw you things on my belts and stuff. But things like timing belts, timing chains and stuff, these are safety devices.
But you know, we try, lads. Let me give you an example. It is spark like that. $5. But initially, that particular brand, and my spark plug is the one that has 4 claws on it, right? You could never buy that for $5. But now she says, no, supplier. I don't know what story she sold me about the supplier. You know, and when I think about it in hindsight,
because your plug you're talking about actually costs $25.
that's what I'm saying.
So if you're gonna buy it for $5, that's a red flag.
Yeah, but my point is, but the branding is the branding I recognize, the blue and white.
Okay, the box. We're not going to talk about brands.
No, we're not.
Yeah, but the
But
thing is,
it's the same. It's the same.
That's what we're saying, Guti. You need to buy from reputable companies for reliability factor. You know, if you do take this thing for testing and it's fake, you know, guys, you sold me something fake. Can you please alleviate that? Now, with the timing belt, it's going to cost you. I'll give you an example. One is going for $150. The other is going for $15. Why would you pay $15 to protect something that costs $1,500? It's a question that you should ask yourself. Yes, it's functional. It's the same. It's a good brand. It's real, you know. It's real. But at the end of the day, takes you backwards.
0719-100-404. So far, no one has got our classic car correct.
That's a shame.
It's 1959. It's quite an exciting design. It was very innovative at that time. It was a pioneer in giving you small at 3 meters long and yet ultimate space on the inside. It had a special engine and wheels. Any idea what this car is? And so far, we haven't had anyone coming in and figuring out what this car that had a front wheel drive layout looked like. Lance, shall we?
To be beat British as made very popular car. One actor used it for a long time. It was green.
And we all loved him.
And it was designed by say John Isigonis.
Now we've pretty much given you the answer. Let's see if we can figure it out.
All
Alright, so let's see some of the answers that have come in towards our highway code question. Can you repeat the question for us to have our highway code question?
You are driving at night in a poorly lit road. A bus with a flashing red light on its roof approaches from the opposite direction. It appears to be stationary and partially blocking your lane. There are no other vehicles around. What should you do?
All right, Anza, you pull over. This is coming from Jeff. 4322. Just pull to your left, hand side, and reduce speed, and if possible, stop and check whether it's stationary or moving. 0719-100-404. What do you think your answer is? We're supposed to be pitting the Kia Sportage 2014 model against the Lance you say. No, actually, let the one who went to private school say it. Against the what?
Hyundai iX35.
That's one.
That's the one I wanted to hear. That's the one I wanted to hear you say.
The Hyundai Tucson.
Tucson.
We're in the same street.
It's Tucson. And it's Hyundai. Not
like Sunday.
Hyundai Tucson 2014. All right, so we're going to have to do that one next week. We're almost at the end of our program. Jeff comes in, tries again. He had said it's VW. Jeff is now saying it's Citroen. You're still not getting it right. Let's put them out of their misery, Lance. What is today's car?
Is a Austin Mini or Leyland Mini or who's the Mini Cooper?
Or Mr. Bean's car.
Mr. Bean. Mr. Bean.
When you say it's short car, it came, man, to know how that mini skirt car. So it became a mini because it was a mini car.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think people should also go and measure how long 3 meters is. People don't know. It's short. Very short.
Absolutely short. So we'll do our car review next week and we'll be back again on Under the Hood next week. For now, we are waving you goodbye, leaving you in the safe hands of the also lovely Becky K, who's coming in on the pulse. And as always, if you have any questions for us and you want to get a hold of us, Lance, how do we get a hold of you? Just in case someone might have questions they want us to address here.
Our number is 0775 981 647.
Ray came in right in the nick of time. We haven't given the answer, have we? Ray came in the nick of time and says, stop and look up for pedestrians coming from the bus. Only proceed after the bus has left. This is sorry, have we gotten it right so far?
They are all right. So the correct answer is a combination of all of these. That's because driving at night is a very dangerous thing, and when you're not certain of the situation, you need to slow down, assess for safety, because there could be pedestrians around the vehicle or around your vehicle, there could be animals or other unseen hazards. So slowing down to take a look and exercising caution, dipping your lights so that you can see what's happening a little bit lower to the ground, not dazzling the oncoming traffic, and assessing the situation is very important, all towards safety, which is what the highway code is for.
And so with that, Tafadzwa, Lance, and I are waving you goodbye. Tafadzwa, if we want to also get a hold of you, how do we get a hold of you?
Very simple. You can send an email to inquiries@zimoko.co.zw and ask for Tafadzwa.
So as the news bulletin is coming up and we're dedicated keeping you on lock and comfortable, why don't you